After 9 months of waiting, her millionaire husband left. What she did next was unexpectedly amazing. Sarah stared blankly at the empty street outside her quaint suburban home. The glow of the early morning sun breaking through the clouds felt ironic. 9 long months of anticipation had narrowed to a single, thumbs-up emoji from James on his last check-in. A text that had effortlessly shattered her world and left her gasping for air like a fish out of water. Her heart raced as debts piled high, the bakery she had poured her soul into hanging by a thread. Only the laughter of her 2 little ones, Mia and Ethan, echoed in the house, grounding her even amidst turmoil. Despite the whispers circulating through the neighborhood, thick like fog and just as hard to navigate, Sarah clung to her love for her children. The judgment stared back at her from the eyes of friends turned strangers. The life she had with James, cabins in the woods, abundant vacations, and upscale dinners had turned into pitying glances and snickers behind closed doors. Who is she now without him? They whispered, as if identity could be reduced to a bank balance. Though the image of who she once was chipped away, a fierce determination kindled inside her. Who was she? A mother, a baker, a woman who would fight for her kids. The storm came without warning. Heavy rain lashed at the streets as winds howled through the trees. In just moments, the community center, the heart of their close-knit neighborhood, had been reduced to splintered wood and scattered memories. Sarah felt a spark ignite at the sight. There was no time for despair when action beckoned. Seeing families huddled together, she rallied her newfound strength in unity. "We can rebuild this together," she shouted, doing her best to rally them, her voice cutting through the chaos like a beacon. Gathering parents and children, they exchanged stories and laughter while clearing debris, creating bonds that transcended money and status. But the shadows crept in again. As bricks and mortar began to rise, rumors twisted like barbed wire around her. "She's taking credit for everything," they hissed. Love turned to suspicion, and Sarah felt camaraderie slipping like sand through her fingers. The world felt heavy, and tears stung her eyes. She wanted to scream into the void that it was never about her, it was about their shared home, their collective heart. Then came the charity event, another reminder of her past life with James, now looming like a specter she couldn't shake off. He would be there. Their friends would be there. With shaky hands and a pounding heart, Sarah braced herself. Perhaps this was her moment for reconciliation, a chance to reclaim herself. "Before we continue," she thought, her heart racing, "I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As she stepped into the spotlight, every ounce of hurt and uncertainty coalesced into focus. "I am not defined by my husband's wealth," she declared, her voice firm, resonating with those silent whispers. Would they listen? Would they see her? The question hung in the air like the gathering storm clouds. Every heartbeat echoed her resolve, but would it be enough to reshape how they viewed her? How could she build not just a community center but a new identity in their eyes? The intersection of her past and uncertain future crackled with electric tension, leaving her yearning for an answer she wasn't sure existed. The moment stretched, heavy with anticipation. Sarah's heart thundered in her chest, drowning out the whispers swirling around her. She glanced at familiar faces, those who used to be friends, now merely observers of her struggle. Eyes wide, some looked at her with compassion, while others held judgment. This was not just about rebuilding a center, it was about rebuilding herself. "I am not just a mother. I am not just a baker." She pressed on, her voice rising above the murmurs. "I am a force. A force to make change not only for myself but for all of us." A ripple of surprise washed through the crowd. Some faces softened, and for the first time, Sarah felt a flicker of hope. The collective power of the community began to brew. The storm outside matched her internal tempest, but she stood firm, refusing to let their doubts drown her spirit. "Let South turn this place into a haven," she shouted. "Where children can play, families can gather, and we can stand together as a united front." As cheers erupted, Sarah's eyes caught Mia and Ethan near the entrance, wide-eyed and beaming with pride. They were her strength, her reason to fight. The laughter of her children was music that gently cradled her heart. She felt reckless with hope. Perhaps they didn't see her as a failure after all. Amidst the excitement, a voice emerged from behind her. It was Jessica, an old friend who had distanced herself after James left. "You think this will wash away our memories of who you were?" Her tone dripped with sarcasm. Sarah's heart sank, her resolve wavering for a moment. But recalling the pain she had endured, Sarah breathed deeply. "I'm not trying to erase what was. I want to create something beautiful from the ashes." "We are more than our pasts," she replied, steadiness creeping back into her voice that a murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Jessica crossed her arms, skepticism still written on her face, but the air felt charged now electric with possibility. Sarah noticed others nodding, the narrative slowly shifting in her favor. A few days later, with only a handful of volunteers left by her side, they stood in front of the site that had once been so beloved by the community. They worked side by side, breaching the silence once filled with tension. Their efforts brought unexpected warmth as laughter echoed among the ruins, each brick laid upon the other symbolizing resilience. However, not all had warmed to the changes. Rumors continued to circulate about Sarah's ambitions, some saying that she was on a quest to reclaim her past life, a life with wealth and status. Each jab felt like another storm cloud gathering overhead. But this time, with Mia's hand in one and Ethan's in the other, Sarah faced it head-on. The accusations would not sway her. She was determined to carve out her new identity, no matter how painful the process might be. As the foundation took shape, Sarah began to whittle away the blocks that held her back emotionally. She opened up about her struggles, her dreams, and poured her energy into her bakery. It wasn't just about bread and sweets anymore, it was about bringing people together. Would they stand by her if she embraced humility instead of status? Then one evening, while preparing for the grand reopening of the bakery, an unexpected knock rattled the door. As she opened it, her heart dropped. James stood there, looking worn but oddly composed. The echoes of their past filled the air as he took a hesitant step inside. "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice so familiar yet distant. Could this be the reconciliation she had been longing for, or would it turn into another storm? The question loomed large, leaving her breathless and uncertain. Sarah's heart raced, a mix of shock and yearning crashing together like waves against a rocky shore. She studied James, the man who once held her dreams and shattered them like fragile glass. His weary eyes reflected the weight of days gone by, but they also held something else, an urgency that pulled her in, despite the chaos that had marked their past. "Please," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I need to explain." She stepped aside, letting him in, yet part of her hesitated at the threshold of emotion. Old feelings crept in, swirling like autumn leaves caught in a gust of wind, threatening to upend all the progress she had made. James hadn't just left, he had left her with a chasm that had taken nearly a year to bridge. Once inside, the familiar scent of cinnamon and freshly baked bread filled the air, reminding her of mornings that had once been so simple, so joyful. Now, the kitchen felt like a battleground of memories. She folded her arms, trying to shield herself from the torrent of regret and bitterness that threatened to spill over. "I know I hurt you," he began, glancing around as if looking for something to anchor his thoughts. "And I don't expect you to forgive me right away. But I've been thinking. I want to be part of this. Part of your life." The words hung in the air, heavy and uncertain. The flicker of hope she felt during her speech at the center clashed with the doubts that had been her constant companions. Could she let him back in? "Mia and Ethan are doing well," she said, her voice steady. "This is a new beginning for us. For me. I need to know you're not just here to stir the pot. To complicate things. He nodded slowly, his gaze unwavering. I'm not here to take over your life. I just want a chance to show you I can be someone you can rely on. I've changed, I've learned. But I also know it's up to you to decide what this means. Sarah watched him closely, searching for authenticity, for sincerity behind those rugged features that were both familiar and foreign. A part of her wanted to believe it, to fan the flame of what they once had, but another part recoiled, screaming caution. What do you want from me, James? Her question landed lightly, but carried the weight of their shattered past. More than anything, I want access to my kids. I understand why you're hesitant, but I miss them so much. I've missed all of this. He gestured around the bakery, where magma-like warmth from the oven spilled out, mingling with her sadness and anger. And I don't want to miss any more. Just then, Ethan burst through the door, his soccer ball tucked under one arm. Mia followed closely behind, her hair tied in a messy bun, flour dusting her cheek like a badge of morning work. The children's laughter was bright, unfurling like petals blooming in sunlight, and for a split second, the tension dissolved. Mom! Can we have cupcakes for dinner? Ethan cheered, oblivious to the sea of awkwardness wrapping around Sarah and James. Oh, how about we make it a family affair? Mia chimed in, eyes sparkling under the kitchen lights. The room felt more alive with their innocence, the children's faces illuminated with joy. James' expression softened, reflecting newly kindled hope. I'd like to help, he said, watching the kids. If you'll let me. Sarah stared at him, caught between the warmth of connection and the cold edge of fear. Did she really want him back? Did the ghost of their love deserve a second chance? As she considered her answer, she caught Ethan's expression, filled with hope, and Mia's unguarded spirit. They yearned for unity and love, two traits she had always dreamt of cultivating in their home, but just as she opened her mouth to respond, another knock echoed through the space, louder this time. It rumbled with an unmistakable urgency, startling them all. Who could that be? James muttered, before a sense of dread slipped into Sarah's heart. Could this day, so full of possibility, take another sharp turn? As the door creaked open, anticipation hung heavy in the air once more. What awaited them on the other side? The door swung open with a creak, revealing a figure that sent ripples of confusion through the room. Sarah's breath hitched. There stood her mother, Margaret, with a look of concern etched across her features. She clutched a bag filled with groceries, her brow furrowed as if she were witnessing an unusual scene unfold. Sarah! I came over to help with the kids. She exclaimed, her eyes darting from Sarah to James, and then to Mia and Ethan. Oh, am I interrupting something? Mom! No, it's fine, Sarah said, her voice a bit unsteady. She shot a glance at James, who seemed to blend into the background, vulnerability etched on his face. Hi, James, Margaret said, her tone tight. She dropped the bag onto the kitchen counter, the sound echoing in the thick air. The tension shifted subtly, now filled with unspoken thoughts and surprised expressions. I didn't expect to see you here, her mother continued, crossing her arms defensively as she studied him. I thought things were complicated. They are, Sarah replied, the words spilling out before she could gather her thoughts. He just wanted to talk. Talk. About what? Margaret pressed, her eyes pinched in concern. Sarah, you need to be careful. James shifted uncomfortably, caught between wanting to defend himself and not wishing to escalate the situation. I only want to be part of my children's lives, he said softly, trying to keep his tone steady. I'm not letting you hurt them again, Sarah interjected, her voice growing steadier as she faced her mother. This is my decision. Ethan raced over to Margaret, throwing his arms around her with unfiltered love. Grandma! We were going to make cupcakes. His enthusiasm chiseled away at the tension just a bit, an innocent reminder of why he and Mia were at the center of this emotional storm. Margaret's expression softened, and she knelt to hug her grandson, but her gaze kept darting back to Sarah and James, a protective instinct brimming beneath her facade. Okay, but, let us focus on what's important right now. You mean cupcakes? Ethan giggled, his innocence warming the room further. Exactly those. Margaret replied, her smile fragile yet genuine. Sarah felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this could work. The kids could be the bridge between their fractured paths. As they began to gather the baking tools, the kitchen filled with a little more laughter and bustle, though tension still hung in the corners. The flour-dusted countertops mirrored the chaos within her heart. Could she truly let James be part of their lives again? I've got the chocolate and the sprinkles, James chimed in, looking around as if he might claim his own space in her world. That sounded startlingly like a pledge. Sarah glanced at him, apprehension flickering in her chest. She felt the pull between wanting the future she had fought for and the promise of a past filled with warmth alongside a mirror of hurt. Just remember, Margaret said, chiming in as the kids dove into preparations. We'll do this one step at a time. It's not just about making cupcakes. It's about trust. And we have to build that carefully. As they all settled into the routine of stirring batter and adding colors, it was as if a curtain had lifted just a little, revealing what might lie ahead. Yet, the nagging uncertainty lingered at the edges of Sarah's thoughts. What if this was just another mirage? The door swung open once again, and her heart skipped a beat. In walked Kyle, his face twisted in concern. Sarah, I need to talk to you. It's urgent. Sarah felt the air thicken immediately, the laughter fading as she turned her attention to Kyle. This news could change everything again. Her heart raced. Could any of this new beginning solidify when yet another crisis loomed on the horizon? Not now, Kyle, she said, trying to mask her anxiety, but the gravity in his expression said otherwise. What was so urgent that it couldn't wait? As the excited chatter of the kids faded into the background, Sarah stood on the precipice of something monumental. Would she take a leap, or would this momentary calm shatter like before? Kyle's eyes locked onto Sarah, and in that moment, the room drained of color. Margaret's chuckle faded, replaced by an uneasy silence thick enough to slice. The mixing bowls, the flour clouds, even Ethan's bright chatter felt far away, distant pieces of a fragile happiness that might come crashing down at any second. Can we talk in private? Kyle's voice was low, urgent, each word crafted like a plea. Sarah's instinct was to retreat, to push away the reminder of the past. But she had to face this. Okay, fine, just give me a minute. She moved towards the hallway, glancing quickly at James, who mirrored her apprehension, concern etched on his face as he registered the tension rising once more. Mom, what's wrong? Mia's tiny voice broke through her thoughts. Nothing, sweetie, just a grown-up conversation, Sarah said, forcing a smile that felt like a mask. Once they were in the quiet of the hallway, Kyle turned to her, his expression now softer yet still anxious. Sarah, I wouldn't have interrupted like this if it wasn't important. I didn't want to drag you back into this mess, but he hesitated, running a hand through his hair. I've been hearing things. Things about James that, you need to know. It's not just about him wanting to see the kids. The walls of her heart tightened. A million questions surged forth, but the most visceral one was simply, why now? What do you mean? Kyle took a breath, as if steeling himself for an emotional blow. I heard through some contacts that there might be issues with his work, a lot of uncertainty. His past isn't just baggage, it's a risk. Are you serious? A chill ran down Sarah's spine. You're telling me he might not be stable? That he could fall apart again? I know it's hard to see it, but you have to protect your kids. You were strong enough to keep your family afloat before, Sarah. I just don't want you to get hurt again. Her resolve wavered. Kyle's concern felt genuine but also had the sheen of alarm. She clutched her arms, shivering inwardly at the specter of her past with James, the tears, the pain, the loss. This was a leap into the unknown, with everything at stake again. You didn't have to come here, Kyle. I'm trying to make things work. For the kids, she replied, her voice trembling yet defiant. I did because I care. And I think you still love him, Kyle pressed, his voice lowering with intensity. But if he is still a risk, can you really let him back in? Can you? The question hung in the air, heavy like a lead weight, and it pierced her. With a deep breath, Sarah felt a well of emotions rise within her. She had fought to build something, a future marked by hope. Yet here was a crack forming in her foundation, and the uncertainty loomed again, asking her to reconsider her choices. Her heart felt split in two, fighting for James, fighting for her children, fighting against the ghosts of hurt. As she looked at Kyle, she saw the sincerity in his eyes. Beneath layers of pain, underneath visions of cupcakes and laughter, a storm was brewing. No, she finally whispered, I don't know if I can live with that kind of risk. Not again. Kyle nodded slowly, a mixture of relief and worry on his face. Just think about it. You have to weigh what is truly best for them. For you. With lingering uncertainty pressing at the back of her mind, Sarah turned back toward the kitchen, knowing that the stakes had suddenly risen again. Could the laughter and joy of that afternoon withstand this new truth? Could she trust her heart when the path was still shrouded in doubt? She stepped into the kitchen, ready to gather the pieces together, but the weight of her decision loomed large. Her heartbeat echoed like a drum, signaling the beginning of a new battle within. Hey, everyone! Who's ready to help decorate these cupcakes? She called out, though her smile trembled slightly as she reached for the spatula on the counter. The kids erupted in excitement, but behind the scene, the real question lingered, was she prepared for what might come next? Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Sarah hesitated, then fished it out to see an unknown number flashing back at her. Her pulse quickened. What if this was the message that changed everything again? Was she about to uncover another layer of her complicated reality? Sarah's heart raced as she stared at the unknown number. It felt both ominous and intriguing, like a breath held too long before release. She slid her thumb across the screen, the text message opening to reveal a brief note, we need to talk. It's about James. A lump formed in her throat. Who could this be? Was it someone connected to his past? A glimpse of panic flickered in her chest, mixing with the adrenaline of uncertainty. She glanced at the kids, who were giggling and decorating cupcakes, blissfully unaware of the storm gathering around their mother. Sarah. Kyle's voice pulled her from her thoughts, his brow furrowed with concern. Are you okay? She barely nodded, mind racing. The world of flour and sugar felt miles away. I just got a message. About James. Kyle's eyes widened, the tension returning in an instant. What did it say? It's just they want to talk. They say it's about him. Her voice dipped to a whisper, fear creeping in. The kids didn't need to know, not yet. Do you think it's from someone who might know what is going on with his job? Kyle asked, a sympathetic frown settling on his face. I don't know. But right now, I can't deal with this. The kids, they're happy. Those innocent voices reminding her of the love she fought to protect pulled at her heart. Kyle stepped closer, lowering his voice, maybe it's good to find out now rather than later. If there is something more serious at stake, or it could just be someone trying to stir trouble, Sarah countered, anxiety lacing her words. She wished she didn't feel this tug of responsibility, but every moment felt charged with the weight of her past. She looked back toward the cheerful chaos in the kitchen, where Mia was trying to sprinkle edible glitter on a cupcake the size of her palm. That innocence, that joy, was worth everything to Sarah. Fetch him up here, Kyle suggested gently. If this is serious, where does it leave you? Where does it leave them? What if it's nothing? Or worse, what if it's bad news? I don't want the kids to see me like this. She was angry at the swirl of emotion bubbling inside, frustration rising like a tide against her better judgment. Are you going to ignore it? You can't let dread dictate your actions, Sarah. His voice was soft but firm, a tether back to reality. You have to be proactive for their sake. She took a deep breath, weighing her options. The kitchen felt different now, the joyful sounds dulled by the swirling vortex of her thoughts. All right, she finally said, swallowing hard. Let me start this. Sarah stepped outside to find a quiet corner on the porch where she could collect her thoughts. She needed clarity, and the fresh air hit her face like a gentle reminder of the world beyond. She hesitated before dialing the number. With each ring, her heart thudded louder, nearly drowning out the noise from inside. Finally, a voice answered. Hello. It was a woman, calm yet urgent. Hi, this is Sarah. I received a message about James. She struggled to keep her voice steady. Thank you for calling back. I really think we need to discuss some serious matters regarding his situation. It's difficult to explain over text. Why now? Sarah asked, feeling the ground shift beneath her again. Because what I'm about to tell you could change everything. So many shards of fear and hope collided within her, but she couldn't back down now. All right. I'm listening. Just then, a loud crash rang from inside the house. She turned, fear gripping her heart for her kids. What was happening? Wait. The woman on the line said urgently. Before we continue, you need to make sure you're in a safe space. There's more to this than you realize. An icy shiver crawled up her spine. What had she gotten herself into? As she raced back toward the house, the weight of the moment pressed down on her. What if this was the start of unraveling her carefully stitched life? The door swung open, and she froze, the kids standing together, eyes wide with confusion. The mess on the floor and the fear creeping in, unforgiving and palpable. What awaited them on the other side of this moment? And what did it mean for everything she had worked so hard to build? Sarah stood at the threshold, her heart in her throat. The scene before her was a mess of glitter, sprinkles, and something that looked suspiciously like melted chocolate decorating the floor. Mia and Lucas exchanged glances, their giggles now silenced by their mother's expression. She could read their worry, a mirrored reflection of her own. Mom. Mia's voice trembled, a small hand reaching up as if to touch the weight of the room. What happened? Sarah finally managed, her tone sharper than she intended. We were just trying to make cupcakes. Lucas blurted, defending their chaos. But the mixer, it was too loud. And then it just fell. Mia's eyes began to shine with tears, the proud creator suddenly crushed beneath the weight of guilt. Sarah inhaled deeply, fighting the swell of irritation. It's okay, sweetheart. Just let us clean it up together. As they scrambled to gather the fallen cupcake bits, the chaos of the kitchen faded into the background of her racing thoughts. The voice on the phone echoed in her mind, serious matters, change everything. But the kids. They need her. Mom. Look. Mia held up a plastic cup with an enormous glob of icing resembling a lava flow. Instead of scolding, laughter bubbled out of Sarah. Now that's artistry. She said, feigning a dramatic tone before breaking into a smile. Definitely a cupcake worth tasting. What do you think? Lucas joined in, his relief turning into playful banter as they imagined outrageous flavors and cakes for their imaginary bakery. They pulled Sarah into the moment, and for a brief time, the specter of the message faded, yet, her phone vibrated again, cutting through the laughter. With a quick glance, she saw the unknown number again, like a ghost lurking at the edge. I need to take this, she said quickly. Just a moment. Stepping aside so the kids didn't overhear, she answered, breath quaking in her chest. Hello. Sarah. The woman's voice was steady, but there was something darker lurking beneath the calm. I'm sorry to interrupt your day, but we really need to talk. It's important. Can't you just tell me now? Her voice wavered as her eyes darted toward the children, who were now intensely focused on their masterpiece, blissfully unaware of the looming storm. Not like this. It's about James's past, and it could involve your family. His secrecy affects everything you thought you knew. You need to understand why this could change your lives. Are you saying he is in danger? Not in the way you think. But he has friends, no, enemies who are looking for him. You're in jeopardy, Sarah. The world around her dimmed, the joyous ruckus of the kitchen fading into an echo. Jeopardy? What kind of enemies? Did James know? Her heart raced. Sarah? You there? With renewed resolve, she inhaled deeply, forcing calm into her voice. What do I need to do? It's better if we meet in person. This doesn't belong over the phone. She paused, the tension thickening. I can come to you, but you need to be careful. They could be watching. Fear pulsed through her veins, mingling with a fierce protectiveness. No, wait, but the line went dead before she could ask another question. A dark chill spread through her, and she turned to the children, their laughter ringing like bells in the distance. Is everything all right, Mom? Lucas asked, wiping icing from his forehead, blissfully unaware of the conversation that had just shifted her world. Yeah, everything is fine, she said, though the words sounded hollow in her mouth. How could she protect them from what was now coming? As she knelt down, gathering her children into her embrace, their warmth felt like a fragile shield against whatever her husband had kept hidden. Then it struck her, if they were truly in danger, there was no time left to waste. She had to confront James, a fact more daunting than she had ever imagined. With the day fading around her, she felt the weight of secrets pressing down, ready to reveal truths that might break or mend everything she held dear. What had James gotten himself into? And would it fracture the very foundation of their family? As dusk settled, shadows crept along the edges of the kitchen. Sarah's mind raced, caught in a storm of worry and dread. She held her children tightly, visualizing a fragile glass dome around them, a barrier against whatever was lurking outside. Mia, sweetie, could you help your brother find some sprinkles? She forced a smile, trying to maintain a sense of normalcy. We'll finish decorating these cupcakes just right. Mia, ever the cooperative one, nodded eagerly, her pigtails bouncing as she darted off. Lucas grinned and followed suit, babbling about the cupcakes as if the world hadn't just shifted under their feet, but Sarah couldn't shake off the feeling that time was slipping away. The woman's voice echoed in her head, like a ticking clock. They could be watching. What did that even mean? Did she know about their home? About the kids? Panic threatened to swallow her. Wiping a quick tear from her eye, she pulled out her phone, her fingers hovering over the screen. Should she call James? Demand answers? No, if there were threats involved, what if calling put them at risk? A wave of anger surged. James should have done something, told her something. Had he really been keeping her in the dark? As she watched her children bicker over colors, a thought struck her: she needed more information. Rushing out of the kitchen, she ducked into the living room and grabbed her laptop. She opened a private browser and started searching for anything she could find about James's past, the name of the woman who called, the hints of danger swirling around him. Anxiety tightened in her chest as the search results blinked in front of her. Minutes turned into an hour, her breathing shallow as the clock kept ticking. But just as she found a mention of James's name tied to a charity scandal years ago, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen. Mom! Lucas's voice pierced through her thoughts, panic lacing it, her heart racing. She shot up and rushed back, finding Mia pointing at the floor where a glass measuring cup lay shattered amid the icing. Lucas stood frozen in shock. The chaos swept over her in waves again: mess, noise, and total disarray, but this time with a hint of dread. Are you hurt? She breathed, moving close. No. We just... Lucas's voice trembled as he took a step back. We just wanted to make the cake better. Hey, it's okay. Accidents happen, she soothed, kneeling down to sweep up the glass fragments. Their fright mirrored her own, and she couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt for allowing her mind to wander into dark territories when they needed her light. Mia, can you help me clean this up? She asked, her voice firm yet gentle as she turned her focus to the shards. As they worked together, laughter slowly filled the air again, but the nagging thought of danger remained thorny in her mind. What about the kids? Could they go to school? Could she even leave them alone? After the kitchen was tidied, she cast a wary gaze toward the phone, its presence a reminder of looming threats. Okay. Let us finish up these cupcakes. She chimed, trying to lift her spirits. But deep down, the inquiry burned. How was she supposed to keep her family safe when her whole foundation felt like it was crumbling? Just then, the doorbell rang, jolting her. The atmosphere changed in an instant, a charge of tension filling the air. Who could that be? She whispered, glancing back at the kids, who were peeking over the counter, unsure. With a deep breath, she turned again. Steeling herself, she approached the door. What if it was the woman? Or someone more sinister? Each step felt like a dance on glass. Should she open it? What if they were being watched? Mom. Lucas whispered. Just wait a minute, honey. Sarah's voice trailed off as her hands hesitated on the doorknob. Was she ready for whatever or whoever was waiting on the other side? With a quick inhale, Sarah steadied her nerves. The door seemed to loom larger than life, a barrier between her fragile sense of security and whatever lurked beyond. Mom, who is it? Mia's small voice broke through the thick silence, eyes wide with concern. Just a minute, sweetheart. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest. She could either confront the unknown or retreat into the comforting chaos of her kitchen. She reached for the doorknob, feeling its cold metal bite into her skin. Taking one last breath, she turned the knob and pulled the door open. The sunlight flickered against the twilight, illuminating a man standing on her porch. He was tall, with dark hair and an expression that was both warm and intense. Hi, I'm Jason, he introduced himself, without a hint of hesitation. I used to know James, we were friends. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Judging by his serious demeanor, she couldn't tell if this was a good sign or a bad one. Is he here? She managed to ask, keeping her voice steady. No, but I need to talk to you. It's urgent. The urgency in his voice struck a chord in her gut, solidifying her wariness. Why? What is going on? She felt the weight of the door behind her, anchoring her, but her instincts urged her to hold her ground. Can I come in? He glanced back toward the street, as if searching for unseen eyes. This isn't safe out here. Mom. Lucas' voice came again, tinged with fear. Who is that? Stay back, honey, Sarah whispered, her protective instincts flaring. Please, Jason insisted, his voice dropping to a softer, more persuasive tone. I promise I'm not a threat. I need you to know the truth about James. Against her better judgment, curiosity drove her to open the door wider. Okay, but just for a minute. He stepped across the threshold, and the air shifted, heavy with unspoken tensions. She closed the door slowly, not quite ready to fully trust him, but sensing an urgency she couldn't ignore. We don't have much time. I'm convinced that something's going on with him, something dangerous. I received a call, just like you did. This woman, she's not who she says she is, Jason said, his gaze piercing into hers. Sarah's heart descended into her stomach. What do you mean? What did she want? She wanted to draw James out. She made it clear she had knowledge about things he hoped to keep buried. But now it seems she's found you and the kids. Panic surged inside her. What does that mean for us? I've been trying to reach him for weeks. I thought he was just busy with work, but now his voice trailed off, and she could see the real concern etched on his face. Sarah felt the walls closing in. Why are you telling me this? Who are you really? Because I care about him. He might be in danger, and I suspect it's connected to his past and yours as well. We need to figure this out together. Her head spun. Could she trust him? James had always told her to be cautious, to be wary of past associations. What do you want me to do? She whispered, her breath shaky. I want you to protect your family. We need to gather information, and fast. This isn't over, it's just beginning. With a shuddering breath, Sarah felt the weight of responsibility settle squarely on her shoulders again. It wasn't just about hiding anymore, it was about fighting back. Just then, a sharp noise came from the window, startling them both. What was that? Mia's voice trembled from the kitchen. Jason's expression shifted to alarm. They could be here. Sarah's heart raced as a chilling thought entered her mind. Was the woman's shadow closer than she ever imagined? As they moved to take cover, a feeling of dread lingered. How could she shield her family from dangers that lurked in the dark? Would she be able to stay one step ahead? Things were about to get a lot more complicated. The air felt electric, simmering with fear and urgency. Sarah's heart raced as she glanced fearfully towards Mia and Lucas, who watched from the kitchen, their innocence hanging in the balance. Stay in the kitchen. She called to them, her voice steady despite the worry churning within. Jason remained beside her, intent and focused. They could be watching, he whispered, his eyes darting toward the windows. With each passing second, the threat felt more tangible, wrapping around them like a vine closing in. Who are we running from? She asked, her voice a mixture of annoyance and anxiety. What has he gotten us into? I don't know everything yet. But we need to protect the kids. James got involved with people he shouldn't have, and now they might want payback. It's not just about him anymore, Jason explained, urgency rising in his tone. Sarah's mind raced. How did her once peaceful life become a battleground? As she held the doorframe, steadying herself against the weight of the past, a resolve began to kindle. No. I won't let this destroy my family, she muttered, lifting her chin defiantly. Just then, a loud knock rattled the door. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Without thinking, she moved to block Jason from sight. Mia, Lucas, stay where you are. She commanded, stepping cautiously towards the entrance. She glanced at Jason, who silently encouraged her, his features sharp with intensity. Who is it? She asked, her heart pounding hard enough that she swore it could be heard echoing through the air. Sarah. A familiar voice called, laced with desperation. It was James. Open the door. He urged, but a part of her hesitated. After everything, could she trust him again? Is it safe? Jason murmured, eyes narrowing. We don't know if just a second. She shot back, her eyes flitting between the door and her children, who were peeking out timidly from the kitchen. Let me in. I need to talk, James insisted, desperation thickening his voice. Taking a deep breath, Sarah opened the door just a crack. You're back. She said incredulously, bitterness simmering in her heart. I can explain everything. But first, are you okay? Are the kids okay? His expression was earnest, and the worry that flashed in his eyes ignited a flicker of hope. Are you in trouble? She countered, challenging him with her stare. Is that why you came? Or are you dragging us into your mess? Sarah, please. I'm here because I have to protect you, all of you. We need to talk. Now, he pleaded, the weight of his words hanging heavy in the air. Unsure, she opened the door a bit wider, letting him in. Just a minute, but know that if you lie to me again, James. Lucas exclaimed, rushing into his father's embrace, innocent joy piercing the tension that hung thick like fog. Hey, buddy. James exclaimed, kneeling to give Lucas a tight hug, the warmth wrapping around the child like a protective blanket. Mia. Lucas shrieked excitedly, Daddy's here. Yeah, I see. Mia piped up, her voice a mix of uncertainty and glee. But Sarah felt a knot of fear once again twist in her stomach. Could she trust this reconnection? Stay together, she urged, stepping back slightly to stand beside Jason. What is going on? I'm not here just for a reunion, I promise, James insisted, straightening up, his demeanor shifting from father to fighter. Someone reached out to me, someone who wants answers, and they're not just involved in the past. They've turned their sights on our family. What? Sarah gasped, her heart plummeting. Jason's right. There are people looking for me. It's complicated, but you both are in danger, and I would never forgive myself if something happened while I sat idle, James explained urgently, meeting her eyes with a serious pull. I had to find a way to keep you safe. We're fine, they're not involved here. Sarah insisted, disbelief choking her words. No, they could target the kids to get to me. It's not about what I want or what we had, it's about survival yours. Chills ran down her spine. The weight of his words hung heavy, like an anchor tied tightly around her heart. Then what can we do? Sarah asked, her spirit kicking into high gear. How do we stop it? Jason stepped forward, clearing his throat. I have some intel. It'll help us understand why they're going after James. But we need everyone on board. This isn't just about one person, it's about all of us. Looking at her children's bright eyes full of hope and joy, she felt that mother bear instinct surge again. All right, then let us do this together, she said, clenching her fists in determination. I won't let fear rule our lives anymore. James nodded slowly, pride shining in his eyes for the first time in what felt like ages. I won't let anything happen to this family. We fight together stronger than ever, he vowed straight into her eyes. With a fierce nod, Sarah turned towards her children. Are you ready to help us? The kids bobbed their heads, fearless spirits unfurling at the challenge, and just like that, united once more, they began to formulate a plan. The uncertainties loomed large, but amidst the chaos, seeds of courage blossomed. And no matter what awaited them, they would face it together, strong and ready. As they moved deeper into their family's new battleground, Sarah felt hope surge within her. This was not only a quest for safety but a fight to reclaim their lives, and sometimes, reclaiming meant standing together, not just in fear but in love that was resolute, fierce, and unyielding. In the end, what seemed broken could be healed, and what faced them next would only serve to bring them closer together. Now is the time to act. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you never miss exclusive stories like this one. Leave a like now, your support is what fuels this journey. And comment your thoughts and feelings about how Sarah's story ended. Let us hear your voice, don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to watch this incredible transformation. True fans understand the value of supporting this channel. Let's spread the inspiration.